Excited to be on another episode of the Overnight Success with Jon. We're having a really fun conversation today. We're going to talk about fitness hacks and technology hacks. This is going to be more of just a casual conversation, which I'm really excited about. We're both really passionate about saving time and being disciplined in how we do that. And technology has been an extremely valuable resource for that. But it also ties back to fitness. So, one quick story that I want to share. I was meeting with a friend not too long ago, and she said, I guess in order to run a business, I just have to be jacked. And it made me laugh because she was looking at these influencers in the marketplace, such as Dan Martell and Ed Milet, and they've written books and they're successful entrepreneurs. They've built teams around them, but they're also truly jacked. Even Alex Hermosi, right? And I started laughing because I've personally been in the gym since I was probably 14 years old and excited to kind of talk through some of those stories. But I'm not going to do all the talking right here at the beginning. So, Jon, let's hop right into how we use technology and also fitness in order to best achieve the life that we want.
Yeah, thanks, Christy. And this was kind of fun because as I'm putting together this list, I didn't realize how many small areas of my life that I've created some of these, time-saving hacks. I guess you could say I hate using the word hacks, but that's essentially what they are, and they all add up. And we were talking before we hit record that life can be very distracting and things can fall through the cracks. So, you know, I know we talk about systems a lot, and this isn't the most elaborate system, but having those systems or tools in place to kind of help remove or reduce the risk of things falling through the cracks, I think is really important. And just trying to make sure that you do get to spend as much time doing what you want to do, not all of the mundane tasks, or at minimum keeping track of all the things in your head that also distracts from enjoying things in the moment. And so, one of the first things I kind of wanted to talk about that really I didn't realize how much I leverage it is Alexa in my case. And I got to be careful that it doesn't set off my speaker. But I really use it as an assistant, like it was built to it. I obviously use it for like timers and reminders. But there's been a lot more automated throughout my house. And one thing that I do that my friends used to pick on me for, but now they also have in their house is automated lights. And so, like, because we have access to the sunset, as the sun sets, as that moves, obviously it's not the same time every day. Different lights on my house throughout the house turn on, which is really nice. Just to kind of have those set up both outside around Christmas time. I have all those the outside lights are on a timer, and then inside just the different lights so I can see. Or while I'm away, if we're out with friends and come back to the house, all the right lights are on, which is really helpful. And also at night, I essentially say good night, and like my whole house shuts down, which is really cool. Because I mean, it doesn't take that much energy to flip off all the different light switches, but sometimes you forget one or it's on the other side of the room, and so I guess get lazy with this too. But it's really nice to kind of have all of that automated. But the bigger one that we use every single day is a shopping list. So we have built the habit of anytime I'm pouring out like the last bit of milk or getting towards the end of the milk or the ketchup or whatever it is, I can easily say to add that item to the shopping list. And so every week when it comes time to build the shopping list, I don't have to spend minutes going through my pantry, thinking back to all the things that I ate that week. It's all just right there in front of me, which again kind of removes a lot of the decision making. And then also that plugs right into us using Walmart delivery. And that's been great. Like there's a little bit of a price tied to it. We pay $50 a year for Walmart Plus, and we might tip the person a couple dollars here and there. But at the end of the day, I don't have to go either spend an hour at Walmart dodging everybody, or I don't have, even if they have the Walmart pickup, there's been many times I've gone there and had to wait in the parking lot for 45 minutes for them to come out. And so that has been a huge time saver, which is great. And we can, if we forget to order it, it could still be here Monday morning before the day starts. So it's really good that you don't have to adjust your entire day around shopping. So those are a couple of the ways that I've been using the Alexa or any smart speaker that you can. And I didn't realize how much a part of my life it was until we started going over this list.
I want to touch on two things. One, I live alone, and one of my favorite things is I come home and the lights are on because I also have automated my lights and they turn on at 5:30, and it feels so much more welcoming and like warm. I'm not walking into this apartment that is dark and just my dog is in there, and so I really like that. It makes me feel not so like alone in a way. And then also you talk about um, not having to go to the grocery store and walk down the aisles, and all of this is automated and then you're getting it delivered to you. And I feel like this book has just like changed my whole life this year. But buy back your time. You're looking at the time value of your time, right? It's not worth your time because you are operating at such a higher level as a CTO of and a co-founder of the optimization specialist, and you have this unique value and gift to give back. It doesn't make sense for you to be running to the grocery store and buying and spending all of your time, because by the time you get there, you've already spent probably an hour driving and shopping and driving home and putting things away. And is that a $10 task, or is that a $100 task, or is that a $500 task? Could you be making more if you automated that um, action by doing an action for a client? Or so it's kind of cool to hear that side of things too. And I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, so pause me if I am, but I'm really excited because speaking on this book and buying back time and really evaluating, we talk about what are those 15-minute increments and how can you take action, but also identify. So Dan Martell talks about color coding your calendar and identifying how are you spending your 15 minutes. And when we look at 15 minutes, I know I've mentioned this before and I feel like a nerd, but it's super powerful. It's like 14 minutes and 40 seconds is 1% of your day. Like if you're wasting that, what are you wasting it on? And if you're just doom scrolling, like people say all the time, they don't have time to do the things, but unfortunately, wave this little pocket computer around, right? Our cell phones, and we on average spend 3 to 5 hours a day. Like humans are wasting time. And so how can we buy back that time through technology? But also I'm going to argue that the discipline of working out is really powerful too. So I kind of touched on a lot of things, John. I'm going to let you hop in
Yeah.
here.
Well, I think I like getting into the fitness piece. And one thing I'll mention with the Walmart that ties really into this is if I'm shopping at Walmart, all the sweets and all the junk food is always at the end of those aisles. So I might not be thinking about Oreos right now, but when they're sitting there staring at me in the face, I am more likely to put that in my cart than not. And the other thing I love about the Walmart app is it knows what I've purchased over time, and it might be like, hey, I don't see bananas in your cart. Do you want these? Because you've gotten these in the past. And so it does upselling, and I'm sure that they make an extra $15 to $20 off of me before I hit submit. But it's stuff that I actually do need in the house, and it reminds me, versus them shoving, all the bad snacks in your face. So I'm very appreciative of that, and that really helps me from a dieting perspective. And it's really good that you can sort your groceries by that and kind of understand what's happening. And if something's bad, you also get the ability to do a refund directly from your phone. We've all had that case where we pull up a container of strawberries, take it home, and realize that the ones in the middle were rotten. And it's like, is this worth me driving all the way back to get my $3 back? And when you purchase online like that, it's great because you just say start a return, $3. They give you $3 back within just a couple of minutes, and again, no trips to the store. So I think that's a good point. I have a couple other things here, but let's get into those fitness hacks, because I'll talk a little bit about how I use ChatGPT, but would love, especially with your passion on fitness, on how you have optimized your fitness routine, workout, and kind of everything else, and how that leads to a better, healthier, happier life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think ultimately defining, hey, I'm doing this action at this time is a huge value add and a time saver. Don't think about when you're going to the gym. It's a part of the daily routine. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I go at 5 a.m. Tuesday, Thursday, I work out in the evening. It's not something I think about. It's just built in at this point. And for me, it helps me focus. It also gives me discipline. And I think this is why people who are successful do work out a lot, is because, in my opinion, it allows you to see that you physically can do hard things. You have to be focused in this moment in order for you not to get hurt. I personally have never done CrossFit, but I like to run and I like to weightlift. And if I'm weightlifting and I'm trying to squat something that's more than I even weigh, I can't be thinking about making dinner. Like I have to be thinking about not hurting myself, first of all, right? And what is the proper technique and the proper form? And I think that translates very well into business and into life, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so if I'm trying to show up with a consistent workout plan and I'm focusing on improving and enhancing my personal life, it's going to showcase in work and in relationships in that way too, because it's often said, and I don't want this to sound terrible, but you know, if you take care of your body, you probably are taking care of other things, right? And if you're focused and have the discipline to do the hard things, then what else can you do? And for me, that's just the mental reminder. Like a lot of times my work is behind a screen or behind conversations, and you don't get that validation. And when we're working out, I'm able to say, hey, I did the consistent hard work and now I'm starting to see the results and it pays off. And you don't have to do a lot. I'm not saying every day in the gym I'm lifting heavier than my body weight, or I'm running, marathons, but it is something that if you show up consistently, and especially on the days when you don't want to, you're gonna see the biggest results. And so, yeah, super passionate. I would encourage everybody to work out in some capacity, at least 15 minutes a day, but if you can, up to 30 minutes, and see how it transforms your life. And if you're like, hey, I don't have enough time to work out, I really want you to think about what is your schedule and can you put 15 to 20 minutes? And think about something called net time, no extra time. How can you double down? So if you're not a workout person, but you're a very sedentary type of lifestyle, could you say, hey, I'm going to set an alarm. I'm going to go for a walk outside for 15 minutes, because now you're moving your body and you're getting sunshine. And that's going to double down. No extra time. Cool. We'll double down on what you can do, right? And ultimately, last thing I'll say is when you do work out, it creates this neural pathway for you to not make excuses. A lot of us are so busy all the time and we say we can't do this because we don't have the time. But if you slow down and you start to see those physical results, and it's a win for you as a person. Nobody can buy abs or muscles. You have to do the work and you have to do the hard work in order to get there. Okay. What do you think?
Love that. Yeah, no, I love that. And I think there's a couple of things that you touch on there, and I think it applies to fitness, but also applies to other areas. So the one thing I like that you have is it's scheduled. And I think one of my pet peeves in life is people that don't use their calendar for things, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. So to me, the most simplest life hack ever is just have everything in a digital calendar, right? So that way you don't forget anything. And if you can, invite the other people to that too. So like if you and your friends say, hey, we're gonna have a coffee date on this day, like invite them. As lame as it sounds to send them an email and a calendar invite to coffee at 8 o'clock on Friday, like do it, because we're all busy. And I think with that too, Brittany and I, we share our calendar. We have a shared calendar. Actually, it's not even a shared calendar. We just each share our own personal calendars. So that way I can understand if someone says, hey, would you want to hang out Wednesday night? I don't even have to message Brittany. It's just as simple as open up my calendar, because her calendar overlaps on my calendar. And I could say, oh yeah, Brittany's free on Wednesday. Let me message her real quick. I don't do anything without that. But it's a lot easier to know immediately of, oh no, Brittany picked up a client that night and she's working, so I can't meet it. So that's a really powerful thing. So at the minimum friction, I can immediately see if she's available, and then I'll start the conversation of, do you want to go here? But for you, I love how you have turned this into a no questions asked, consistent schedule. And I think for someone who has had ups and downs in their fitness journey, for those listening, like getting started is hard. And that has always been my dream, is to kind of get to that point where as I'm going to the morning workouts, as you go to bed that night, it's like, yeah, I'm getting up tomorrow morning, my alarm's set for 4:30 and I'll be good to go. And at some point, that's not even a concern. Now, as you said earlier, if you don't have time, unfortunately, it might turn into you have to get up that early in order to find the time. And in the beginning, it is going to suck. But if you commit to that, then it slowly gets better. First week is you're going to be exhausted. Second week, you'll probably start feeling it, and then by the third week, you'll probably be waking up by 5 or 5:30 on your own on the weekends. That's one of my least favorite things about being a morning person is even on the weekends you're up early. But once it becomes that consistent piece, it's not as difficult anymore. I don't want to say it's the easiest thing, but once you get that consistency, it now becomes like brushing your teeth, and it's almost a non-event. There are times that things pop up and maybe you can't make it on a Friday, but I think once you create those consistent schedules and what I was gonna say, you create that consistent schedule and it's for something that is adding value to your life. I mean, all of the chemicals in your body that you benefit from getting those workouts in consistently are great. And
Yeah.
I love that that becomes a natural part of your day to day, and just you don't have to think about it anymore. Less decision fatigue when it comes from day to day.
100%. You said something I think it's important is you touched on the calendar. Again, just keep bringing that in is the calendar doesn't lie. So if it's not scheduled for me, it's not happening. And unfortunately, I have missed things because I haven't put friend like last Friday I missed a dinner with a friend and I thought about it on Sunday and I texted her and I said, "Oh, we were supposed to meet on Friday, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, I miss you. Where are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I unfortunately like it wasn't in my calendar." So now she's sending me calendar invites, and the dinner I have tonight is she sent me the calendar invite, and she messaged me yesterday, and she said, "Hey, are we still on for tomorrow?" Because admittedly, I didn't say yes. So she's checking her calendar too, confirming because this is a digital age that we live in. Everybody's being pulled in so many directions, and fitness is a way of discipline in my mind, but also if it's not scheduled, how does everybody get on the same page, right? And technology can help with that. Thinking about living out of the calendar, I think I love that y'all share a calendar. I have access to so many people's calendars because I don't want to bug them. I don't want to, hey, are you available at this time to do this thing? Yes, it's a courtesy if you're trying to do something, right? But also you can verify without bugging them, and then you could get the answer and the result even faster. So when we talk about saving time and energy, that decision fatigue, like you touched on, is also super exhausting, which is why I try to have a routine with my workouts because that is something that is important to me that I've been doing for so long. And yeah, things come up. I'm not 100%, but like last year, I can tell you I went to the gym over 250 times, and that's cool in my mind. Like, and that doesn't include my street workouts where I just went on a run, right? Like that was me physically in the gym. This year I'm on the same path, and that's important to me. Fitness isn't important to everybody, but to me it shows discipline and that I can do those hard things. But shifting from that, I'd be curious, what other kind of technologies do you use, or what other kind of life hack habits would you like to bring into this conversation?
Yeah, so I'll kind of go. For me, it's an obvious one, but that is ChatGPT is part. It's like a second arm, or it's attached to my life. And I was gonna tie it actually a little bit back into the fitness, but there's there's the lightweight versions of asking it a question like you would Google, but I think there's more using it as a tool to get to question or get to answers faster. And we were talking before we hit record. I can't even imagine how many questions I've had back and forth now with ChatGPT on like a diet reset. And so I'm right now on day 4 of a 2-week reset. It's essentially keto diet, but more or less it's kind of a cross between keto and carnivore diet, but not rather than going and doing all the research and looking at 10 different blog posts of all these different recipes and stuff. One, ChatGPT is creating some nice, friendly recipes that fit within this reset. But two, if I think of something, I can very quickly ask GPT of like, is this safe for in here? Or is it, and it'll say yes, as long as like sugar, there's sugar-free ketchup, but there's sugar free doesn't always mean sugar free as far as like it has artificial sweeteners in it, which could still potentially like spike some of the things that I'm not trying to spike. So that's been great. Workout routines with it, I use it for that. And so it's been really good to kind of have that brainstorming session of back and forth. There was one time I was eating, and like after I'm done, like I'm not entirely full. Like I'm still trying to figure out what else I could do, or maybe I didn't eat enough. So I just told it exactly what I ate. I said, John, this is a great. It's always very positive, which is also helpful too. ChatGPT tells you everything you kind of want to hear, but it says that's a great start, but I realized that you didn't have as much fat in this, and if you're on a keto diet, you need more fat. So here's something else you could go do to add some fat to this meal. And so it's really been a partner. And if I was hiring a nutritionist or a health coach, then to have that type of access where I can just ask a question and get immediate response. One, as a business owner, that's almost not scalable at all unless you're charging thousands of dollars. And so, like for me, I bet you I'd have to pay $1,000 over the at least $500 over these 2 weeks to have direct access to a coach that would answer all of these questions, give suggestions, and things like that. So that has definitely been my favorite. Of like I have this ongoing thread that I jump in, so it picks up where we left off. It knows all the questions I've already asked. It understands all the parameters of this diet that I'm doing for the 2 week reset. And it helps. Like, we're traveling this weekend, and I was like, we're probably going to stop at a restaurant or a fast food place. Like, what are some meals that I can eat that aren't, going to like kick me outside of this reset? And it gave me a full list of all these different meals at different places, and it was good. And so now when we're traveling on Friday, we will I know which restaurants that we could stop at, and I know exactly what I'm going to order if we go to those. So the kids might they can still pick a set of 3 or 4 different restaurants, McDonald's, whatever, and I know exactly if they pick McDonald's what I'm going to get there. If they pick Chick-fil-A, what I'll get there. So it's really cool to have that tool to have ongoing conversations and use it for more than just like a quick question and response.
Now that I'm really hungry, no, I'm just kidding. There's one thing I was going to say on that though is, I talk a lot about fitness, but that's just 1 hour of your day or even 15 minutes. And I like that you're leveraging technology to help support you in the other 23 hours of the day, which is where the distractions can really come in. And talking about ChatGPT, I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but I had a friend who technically named her ChatGPT, and I was like, what does that mean? And so she calls her ChatGPT her virtual assistant. That's how often she leverages it. And she calls it Dan, which stands for Do Anything Now. And I was like, oh, that's kind of clever. So I actually call mine something too. And it kind of piggybacks off of what you just said of like having it help educate you on what you can do to get the results that you want. So it's called Luke, and that stands for Learn, Understand, Knowledgeably Execute. Because I feel like I'm feeding it the information that I need to, but it's also giving me results where I can go take action on it, which is exactly what I just heard from you. So on that note, I know, well, one, you made me really hungry, but two, we are kind of approaching time here. So I'm curious if there's anything else you want to add. I know this was more of a casual conversation around technology and how we use it, and kind of how fitness ties into that founder journey as well. But what else do you got?
Yeah, I would just say, the tools that we're using aren't overly complicated, right? And many calendars was half of our conversation as far as using them in the right way. So there's a lot out there. There's a big understanding of like decision fatigue, and again, as we said, in a distracted world, like what are the small things you can do so things don't slip through the cracks. So this is not going and learning a completely new tool. When we use ChatGPT to come up with some ideas, which we didn't get to today because we had enough of our own, but it's mentioning things like Motion, Reclaim, these automated calendar assistants, or all these other tools, and they're great. And like I would love to go learn how to use some of these, but that is not what is making the impact in my life. It's just the small, simple, it's more system based. If we go back to it's the systems first, tools second. Just think of different ways that you can kind of save that and almost do an audit of, given a day, I wake up at X time and go to bed at Y. What's all the craziness that happens in between? Is there anything that you could do to kind of prevent that from happening? Again, having kids, there's plenty of things that I can't control, but if there is any way that I can kind of track that, one side thing with ChatGPT, I do use it to create stories for the boys. So that was a fun way to involve the technology that I'm using with my family. But those are all fun little things that you can learn. Have a conversation with ChatGPT of how you could use more tools. That's another great thing. But it does not have to be complicated. You don't have to be this tech wizard to do anything. And there's probably no non-tech ways on how you can kind of start saving time. Color coding or sticky notes around the house. I've seen people with amazing laundry organization systems, right? Like, what are the ways that it might take a little bit of a time investment now to get the system created or whatever the process is, but after that, you're going to be saving, tens of minutes. And as you said, that 14 minutes 40 seconds is 1% of your day. So if you can save 3 or 4% of your day, not even including your sleeping time, right, because 8 of those hours you're sleeping, like that's a huge chunk of your day that you get back that you can spend time focusing on other things. So highly urge people to kind of focus in on that and just find ways that they can save time here and there.
Yeah, I love that. It makes a lot of sense to me. I think just to double down on that is use your calendar, do some workouts, get some movement in, right? Um, and one of the things I heard this past week from an influencer who's very successful as an entrepreneur, she's like, if it has to be in the calendar, and being because my calendar is not going to lie, and I love that because I do think that's very valuable. So, well, we'll be back. We've got a couple of guest episodes coming up in the near future and a couple of solo episodes as well. But as always, Jon, it's a pleasure to have a co-founder convo with you. And I love talking about fitness and technology, how we've used that to kind of help us make our lives even better. So until next time, we'll chat again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Christy. This was great.